Yo, what's going on, guys? Dragon Tamer Blade here, back with some more Elder Scrolls Legends. And if you guys are like me, you did indeed see that there were two announcements put up from Elder Scrolls today of us finally getting some new content to play with. And while it's not a gigantic expansion by any means, I think it's a pretty solid little moderate update to kind of play through. So we're going to cover the first edition, which would be the actual gameplay changes, the PvE and PvP changes. Now, they're nothing huge. It's kind of something that you'd be similar or familiar with playing either solo arena or sometimes through the story mode. It is going to be Sheogorath's Chaos Arena. And there's going to be a bunch of various different, basically lane modifiers, game modifiers, very similar, like I said, to solo arena and story mode. So these are scenarios that can play out for PvE, so I guess this is for solo arena. The first one is Duel. Again, this is one you've seen before. Both players start with a 2-1 Gladiator in opposite lanes. Shields up, 0-4 Guard in opposite lanes, and then All-Out Brawl, where everybody gets the broken bottle, and at the start of your turn, you deal 1 damage to a random enemy. So I don't think these will be too game-changing. These are all things that players are used to dealing with. We've seen them all in solo arena and story mode, like I said. Fairly straightforward changes. Now, these are where things get a little bit more interesting. First of all, before I even get into the modifiers themselves, I hope when we actually play that the kind of artwork that you see in the back of the lanes here is there, because I think this looks fantastic. It's fun. It kind of matches up with the whole prankster god kind of thing. It looks awesome. So I hope this is present on the playmat. If not moving forward, because I think that looks awesome even for the Shadow Lane, definitely throughout the length of this event, I hope that it is there. And as far as the event itself, it'll run from December 14th through December 19th. So I'll pull up a calendar here, and you can see it's going to run from Wednesday through Monday. So it's not the longest event. Hopefully this is the kind of thing that they either bring back once a month or something like that to kind of keep things fresh, keep things interesting. But let's get into the actual Chaos Arena modifiers. That's what I meant. These are current things that can happen in PvE. That's why we're used to dealing with them. These are new things that will happen in Chaos Arena. We have Hero's Call. Before the game, shuffle 3 unique creatures into each player's deck. I don't know if 3 unique creatures means you'll get 3 creatures with no duplicates of that creature, if that's what 3 unique creatures means, or if it is 3 unique as in unique legendaries, or the third option would be 3 creatures that are not currently attainable in the game. Very similar to how with Webajack you can turn a creature into a Sweet Roll, and Sweet Roll's a card, although not an obtainable one in the game. That's the third option, which would be pretty cool, but I'm curious as to what this whole unique word means in terms of this Hero's Call modifier. Then we got Your Own Worst Enemy, where players will switch decks at the start of the game, which is kind of mind-blowing, to be honest. I know we've all been there where you draft either any kind of arena run, and either you start out drafting for one type of deck and the cards that are offered kind of flip on you. We've all had a draft turn out poorly, where we kind of hate our deck. You can't wait for that arena run to be over with and start over. Pulling Your Own Worst Enemy means that you're now getting your opponent's deck, and they're going to get to inherit whatever garbage you were stuck with. Also, there's a flip side to that, where if you had a really excellent draft, there's times where you're going to have to give that deck up, and that's going to suck. This one could be very, very fun. Sheogorath's game. Both players start with Webajack, which means you have the option of either hanging on to it for your opponent's late game creatures to kind of screw up their whole mess, cast them on your early game creatures to try and get something crazy going. There's a lot of fun stuff that can happen with this modifier. There's On a Roll, with each player starting with a Sweet Roll in each lane. I don't see that being too huge. Smart thing would probably be to leave your opponent's Sweet Roll there to clog up their lane until you have a big creature that needs to heal or something like that. I'm not really sure, but this is just a fun little thing. I don't think it's going to really affect things too much. This could be crazy. Power Unleashed. Each player start with an additional 3 Magicka. I don't know if that means turn 1 you get 4 Magicka, and then from turn 1 on you'll have 2, 3, 4 like normal. That would just mean that you get a turn 1 push. Or I don't know if it means that instead of starting with 1 magicka out of 1, we're going to be starting at 4 magicka and going 4, 5, 6, 7 from there. That would be crazy for some control decks, even some ramp decks or something like that. Theoretically, you could be hitting Hissgrove like, I don't even know, like not even 5 turns into the game maybe, depending on how you draw your ramp cards and stuff like that. Those games could get fun because you would just be kind of hitting the board with high-level creatures early and just kind of just slamming each other from there. To the death, very straightforward. Whoever goes first starts with Gladiator Arena, which means as soon as you start the game, you'll be taking 2 damage. Your opponent will be taking 2 damage. It's going to go back and forth from there. That Gladiator Arena support card, I'm sure it's removable if you decide that Gladiator Arena is too detrimental to you. But it'll be there. It'll be something. And then spawning pool, both players start with a Slaughterfish in different lanes. So that'll kind of be, if you're an aggro deck, it'll allow you to instantly start racing your opponent. If nothing else, each player is basically going to start with a 3-1. And then lane conditions. These are all lane conditions that already exist. Mage Tower, summon a random creature. Creatures have Regenerate, creatures have Breakthrough, creatures get +1/+0. I'm not going to go too much into depth with these current lane conditions because they're all ones that currently exist in the game. But they have added 2 new lane conditions. They have Zoo. When you summon a creature in this lane, transform it into a random animal. This could be interesting for something like a token deck. Imagine casting Imperial Reinforcements into that lane, and what would normally have been 4 1/1s could turn into any 4 random animals. And if you slam like a Swamp Leviathan in there, if you get lucky on one of your transformations, bam! That was like a 4-cost 8/8 plus 3 other random animals, which is crazy. And then we have Flanking Lane. When a creature is summoned in this lane, give friendly creatures in the other lane +1/+0. This is interesting. Again, I can see this working well with tokens or just in general. Anytime you're giving yourself free attack just for summoning a creature or playing a card, good things can happen, obviously. So those are the new things that are going to be entering Arena to make this a Chaos Arena event. But in addition to those new lane modifiers, we are getting a very small card release. I know everybody's been clamoring for a kind of an expansion release, adding dozens of new cards. But that's not this kind of event. This is a 5-day event or so. So the fact that we're getting any new cards is pretty cool. And any new cards that we get at this point in the game, especially being so early on, it's going to be fantastic for us. So here are the new cards. It's called the Madhouse Collection. The Madhouse Collection is going to be available in the shop. They said it can be purchased with gold or money in the store. Now, I'm not sure, they haven't really said yet what the price is going to be, but we can do a little bit of kind of guessing here. We're going to be getting, if you purchase this pack, you're going to be getting 3 copies of each of the 10 new cards. So you'd be getting 30 new cards, 10 new cards, 3 copies of each for a total of 30 cards. And you also get an arena ticket in addition to that to try out Chaos Arena. If we compare this to normal costs, a pack in Elder Scrolls Legends costs, I believe, $199 if you buy it with cash, or 150 gold. And in those packs, you get 6 cards. Those are random cards. We do have fairly good pack odds, so you're usually getting, if you buy a handful of packs, you usually at least get an epic, if not more. So $1.99 a piece. So if we follow that rate, we need 5 packs to hit 30 cards. So that would be $10 cash for to get 30 cards in general. So, and if we're going to convert that into gold as well, that'd be around 750 coins. So if I was guessing, this all depends on how kind Bethesda, Direwolf, whoever makes the pricing cost decisions here, depending on how kind they want to be to us, I'm expecting the price point for this to be somewhere in the $10 range. It could be a little bit more considering you're guaranteed a legendary, so 3 legendaries. You're guaranteed, actually, I don't know if Altar of spare is unique or not. But 3 legendaries possibly, 6 epics, 18 rares, and 3 commons. So I would assume it's going to kind of follow our normal pack cost. So like I said, I'm predicting around $10, 750 coins. I wouldn't be surprised if it reached into the $15-ish range. I'm hoping it's not that high. I think $10 would be a solid price point for it. 750 gold as well. I wouldn't be surprised if they try and up the gold cost a little bit. So if it was like $10 and 1,000 gold, where you're technically paying more gold per dollar cost than usual, but you're also getting the guaranteed cards out of it. So I could see the gold cost being a little higher. But I'm hoping that the cost is somewhere around the $10 range. I think that'd be where they kind of price this at. But let's look into some of the cards. They haven't actually released all these cards yet. What I mean by that is you can see the Ring of Imaginary Might here. They have shown the full art of it and the text. They've only done that for 3 cards so far. They're going to release more and more as we go, but if we look at some of these cards, ones that they haven't shown yet that I can read. 5 cost Forsaken Champion is a 3/3. Choose a friendly creature, and friendly creatures of the chosen type have +1/+1. While on the surface, this isn't that great of a card for the cost. This kind of card is playing into kind of giving us the ability to have more themed decks. What I mean by that is you can play this card and choose like Khajiit in your Monk deck, your Monk Pilfer deck, and now instantly all of your Pilfer creatures are getting +1/+1. Now my question for this would be, is this just for creatures currently on the board? So if you have one Khajiit on the board and you choose a Khajiit, does only that one get boost? Or is this kind of a game-wide thing, like from now on, all of your Khajiit creatures will get +1/+1? I'm not so sure if that's going to be a thing or not, but I guess we will see. The Elusitory, I can't see what the second half of the word is, but it's a 6 cost 5 attack, and what I'm assuming this card says is that this creature right here will gain all of the keywords present from the top 3 cards of your deck. So this card pairs fantastically in a new Battle Reeve of Dusk deck, something like that. So if you're in a keyword deck, you won't necessarily know what your next 3 cards are, but gaining all of those keywords for free is fantastic, potentially very deadly. I can see this being a very, very good card. And like I said, what I see Elder Scrolls, Bethesda, Direwolf doing, I'm gonna say Direwolf here because I'm guessing they're in charge mostly of the game balance, is these cards, while not broken in their own right, they're trying to play more into giving us more synergy with cards, giving us more identity of decks, because at the moment there's a few archetypes, but it's hard to really put a fully functional synergy deck going at the moment, so they're giving us more of that, and I think that's awesome. This Swindler's Whatever looks like a support card that operates similar to Thievery, or House Kinsman, where you deal damage to your opponent and heal as well. I don't know what the activator is, I can't see it, but it says when you play a something card, deal 1 damage to your opponent and heal 1 health. So that could be a decent card there. This 4 cost Merchant's card, it looks like a creature, 1 something. I'm assuming it's going to be something like a 1 damage, 4 health or something like that. And the summon effect looks like, look at the top 3 cards in your deck and put one in your hand and discard the other 2. So very similar to Tracking from Hearthstone, the Hunter card, if you are familiar with that one. But let's look into the actual cards first of all. Ring of Imaginary Might, it's a 4 cost item that gives +0/+2, so just 2 health. So it looks nothing on the surface. Until you read the effect, the wielder's power becomes equal to its health. So that is potentially fantastic. The example that they give is Oldgate Warden, which is 2 costs, 0/5 with Regenerate. If you put this Ring of Imaginary Might on him, he'll get his 2 health, so it'll become an 0/7 with Regenerate, and then the card's effect kicks in and becomes a 7/7 with Regenerate. In my opinion, this is the kind of item that Regenerate creatures have been absolutely dying for, because most of them tend to have low attack, high health, and no real reason to stick around or really do anything. So I look at something like, is it Lowland Troll? Not Lowland Troll. Angry Grawl, I think. The 2/4 that gets +2/+2 if you have less cards than your opponent. That becomes a 4/6 or a 4/8. And then it'll get +2, so it'd be like a 10-10 with Regenerate or an 8-8 with Regenerate. I think there's a lot of very good combos that can happen with this card. Then you factor in things like Maple Shield, what is that, Imperial Armor, that's +0, +6 health. This card is going to have a lot of combos. It's going to be great in equipment decks. So I can see this having a lot of viability in the future. And then speaking of items, we have the Gardener of Swords, which is a fantastic card for items deck. I can see Strength kind of getting a little bit of resurgence just from these two cards alone. This card pairs beautifully, especially if you have it with the Blacksmith, making items cost 1 less. Whenever you equip an item to another creature, the copy of it gets equipped to Gardener of Swords. So if you play, like late game, if you play this guy and then some fantastic piece of equipment, you're going to get double the value out of your equipment, as well as it makes your creatures kind of stick around. Some of the combos they mention here, 2 cards drawn with Enchanted Plate, since it's getting actually cast twice, 2 Shackles with Mace of Encumbrance, 2 Silences with Bone Bow. This card is going to allow for a lot of combos. It's going to allow for some of your cards that have equipment on them to stick around longer, because now you have 2 creatures getting that equipment instead of just 1, so you can't just Piercing Jab that 1 built-up creature, because now this guy's built up as well. So strength decks, equipment decks in general, but probably mostly strength decks are going to really see some shine, I think, because of these 2 cards. And then speaking of strength decks, we have the Stone Shard Orc, which is a 3-cost 2/1, so you're getting undercost with the body. But the benefit of this thing is a deal 1 damage to an enemy creature for each friendly orc. So orc decks are getting even more love here. They're getting more of an opportunity to shine. I'm hoping they shine even more, because I think it's a potential for a really fun deck. Some of the synergy that they describe here are Broom Armorer or Markarth Bannerman. Markarth Bannerman because you draw the 2 Nord Firebrands. But I don't know... No, those count as Nords, so I don't know why Markarth Bannerman would really count, unless they're saying these cards are good to hit with his effect. But basically, if you're running an orc deck, almost all of the cards on the field are going to wind up being orcs. So this is basically like a free removal spell that you get a body out of. If you think for comparison cost, 3 cost, you'd normally be throwing Crushing Blow, which lets you deal 3 damage. Stone Shard Orc, if you have 3 other orcs on the field, you're going to deal that same 3 damage that Crushing Blow would cause, or 2 other orcs actually, because if he counts himself, if you had 2 other orcs on the field, you throw Stone Shard Orc down, you're going to deal 3 damage, so you're going to get a Crushing Blow, and then you're also going to get a 2/1 out of it. So that's the way you got to kind of look at it, is if you have, it's one of those cards that it's gonna, obviously, you get more and more value the more and more board presence you have. So that's going to be it for now. As they reveal more of these cards, I'll try and talk about them a little in detail, because, like I said, I know I'm fairly confident with my guesses on this Merchant card, the Illusory card, the Swindler card. I'm fairly confident in my guesses for those 3. I don't really know what the Altar of Despair or Close Call is going to do. I'm curious about that unsummon mechanic, but I'll definitely touch on them at some point. If not in their own video, then in a future versus ranked video or something like that, we can kind of cover things. But that's going to be it for now, guys. Let me know what you guys think of the new, I guess I'll call it a mini expansion. If you have a guess on how much the Madhouse collection is going to cost, let me know down below in the comment section as well. And let me know what one of the new lane changes you're looking forward to the most. But that's going to be it for now, guys. As always, thank you all very, very much for watching. I'm Dragon Tamer Blade, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.